I welcome you all to this course on energy audit and management. Today we'll discuss energy economics. In last time in energy audit and management, we learned that in energy management particularly, the investment would be required for reducing the energy consumption of the process or the utility, or for energy saving, and for modifications and retrofitting, and for incorporating new technologies you need investment. And if this investment is done for the energy management practices, then it would result into energy saving, increased productivity, and improved quality. So the costs involved in these proposed energy management measures are direct project cost, additional operation and maintenance cost, and training of personnel on new technology, etc. So for energy management and to employ the energy saving measures, you need investment, and these are the three important component of these required investment for these for implementation of these energy management practices. So for this investment point of view, then it comes to the money. When it comes to money, so for an engineer, as an engineer you need to understand the engineering economics first. So what is engineering economics? The application of economic principles to engineering problems. For example, in comparing the comparative cost of two alternative capital projects, or in determining the optimum engineering cost from the cost aspects. So as an engineer you must know this engineering economics to compare different projects with respect to their capital requirement and their engineering cost from the cost aspects, various cash flow related aspects year on year basis. So what do we need to know as an engineer? First, time value of money, then estimation of cash flows, third, quantitative measurements of profitability, and systematic comparison of the alternatives. So let us see how and where in our overall project management or engineering project management you need the economics. And when it comes to energy management and energy audit and management, so whenever the auditor will complete his audit, and he'll submit one report, and that report should be, of course, have some technical recommendations regarding energy saving measures. And again, when you have a technical recommendations with you, but these technical recommendations should also fulfill the economic feasibility aspects also, because the technically attractive recommendations or the suggestions will not always economically attractive. So when it comes to the implementation of energy auditors recommendations, the energy manager as well as the company, the top management of the company will also check the economic feasibility of the technical recommendations given by the energy auditor. So this priority guideline, as we discussed in the energy audit methodology, that the projects are categorized into category A, B, C, D, and these projects will check for its economic feasibility, technical feasibility, and risk feasibility. So today we'll discuss this economic feasibility part, because as an auditor, when you complete the technical feasibility of the projects, the various technical aspects regarding the project, then you have to check for its economic feasibility also. So when it comes to economics, first let us understand the concept of cash flow. So cash flow is categorized into two parts. First is capital cost. So this cost associated with the design, planning, installation and commissioning of the project. And these are generally capital cost are one-time cost. And second one is the annual cash flow, is the annual saving occurs from the project. After implementing the energy saving project, you may will arrive the benefits of the energy savings. So whatever savings you offer from that projects, and also year to year over the life of the projects, you will get some benefits. Then some annual cash flow also include taxes, insurance, equipment leases, energy cost, servicing, maintenance. So everything is included in annual cash flow. And increase in any of these costs represent negative cash flow, means if you are spending on that out of these taxes, insurance, energy costs, so it is negative, and whereas decrease in the cost represents positive. So whatever energy cost you are going to reduce, whatever the factors given here, if you reduce them, of course they go for positive cash flows. So here is one example of which shows the cash flow diagram. CFD stands for cash flow diagram here, and this cash flow diagram shows that at the first year this 0 shows the starting of the project, and which shows minus 10,000 is the capital cost actually. And in first year still minus 5,000, so annual cash flow is negative, means still that project is not yielding the benefits. You have to spend 5,000 from your side. So that's why it is negative. As I told you that any value, increase in any value represents negative. So after implementing this project, first year minus 5,000 is suppose the negative cash flow, and from second year it's actually giving you the benefit. So that's why positive 7,000, at third year 7,000, and fourth year 15,000. So second, third and fourth year positive values in rupees are given, or positive cash flows are given. So this is a typical cash flow diagram, and over the period of the project, over the period of that life of that project, you can have the cash flow. You can draw the various cash flows like this. So this is a cash flow diagram. Just remember this diagram. We are going to apply various financial techniques to this cash flow diagram to understand the techniques. Then for financial analysis, first is we go for simple payback period. Then we'll study return on investment, which is in short called as ROI, and internal rate of return, which is IRR. Then third is net present value, or NPV, and cash flow that we already covered. So simple payback period, the time, it is the time, of course number in years required to recover the initial investment, that is the capital cost or first cost, considering only the net annual saving. So this is straightforward. Whatever you spend divided by you earn yearly. That's why the formula becomes simple payback period is equal to first cost or capital cost divided by yearly benefits minus yearly cost, or in short first cost divided by annual cash flows. So for the given numerical, if you remember this, so this cash flow diagram, if you refer this cash flow diagram and apply it to calculate this simple payback period, you will find that for our sample cash flow diagram given here, the payback period is approximately 3.1 years. Okay, it's obvious that for first year you have invested 15,000, and you will get the returns payback after 3.5 years, because second and third year gives you 7 plus 7 14,000, 1 year 1 month extra, so it's 3.5 years is the total payback period. This is how you can calculate simple payback period with this formula. So what are the advantage of the simple? The simple payback period is of course very simple and quick method to calculate the to find out that when the project will give you the whatever the amount you spent or the capital you spent will pay back. Okay, but of course this method, it fails to consider the time value of money, and it ignores the cash flow beyond payback periods. Means after 3.5 3.1 years in our example, how the cash flows goes, it increases, decreases, and how it will affect your the value of money, that is not given. So, and this leads to discrimination against the project that generate substantial cash flows in latter years. So like in our example, that this project actually starts yielding the benefits after 2 years, but there are some projects which may yield the benefit, the actual benefit may comes from third, fourth years, and that would be again substantial. But this simple payback period fails to give you the life cycle or the time value of money. So when it comes to time value of money, so first understand what is meant by this time value of money. So the value of money changes with time. We all know that the rupees you are having today, and after 1 year its value is changing. So how that we will see. To assess project feasibility, all the present and future cash flows must be equated to common basis, and in order to overcome the limitation of simple payback period, you must have some common basis to know all the present and future cash flow regarding that project, in order to reduce the discrimination against the project that yields the benefit after certain years. And third, the method by which these various cash flows are related is called as a discounting or present value concept. So for example, if you have deposited 100 rupees in the bank account at the interest rate of 10%, then rupees 100 deposited will be worth, of course, 110 rupees in 1 year. So the value of money after 1 year is 110 rupees, and its present value is 100 rupees. So the value of money changes with time, and it is given by this formula: future value is equal to the NPV, net present value, into 1 plus I raised to n. Here I stands for interest or discount rate, and n stands for number of years in future. Or you can also rearrange this formula to calculate net present value, which is equal to future value divided by 1 plus I raised to n, where FV stands for future value, NPV is the net present value of the cash flow. So likewise, you must know the discount rate and the cash flows, and to understand the present value concept, which will give you the correct understanding regarding the time value of money. Then next concept is the return on investment. The return on investment expresses the annual return from the project as a percentage of capital cost. So return on investment is given by annual net cash flow upon capital cost into 100. So return on investment must be always higher than cost of money, that is interest rate, and the greater the return on investment, better is the investment. Again, we can take an example to understand this return on investment. Then in the given example, if you take the values of all the returns or the cash flows, and if you divide it with the capital cost, that is a 10 plus 5,000, and the various cash flows over the 4-year period time is also considered, then you'll get the 24% of return on investment. So such type of calculation you can do. So of course 24% is good than the interest rate. Suppose you are borrowing money at 10% interest rate, then of course it is good to have 24%. So but still the limitation the net present value. Net present value of a project is equal to sum of all the present values of the cash flows associated with. So net present value, as you can see here, the net present value is given by the present value at the starting of the project, which is denoted by CFO, and then CFO divided by 1 plus K raised to 0. So at the starting of the project, first year and up to nth year, you can show this like the summation T is equal to 0 raised to n number of years, and or the life of the project, CFT divided by 1 plus K raised to T, where NPV is net present value, CFT is the cash flow occurring at the end of the year, T where T starts from 0, okay, as I already told you. Then N is the life of the project and K is the discounted. So after calculating this NPV value, if NPV is positive, then accept the project. If NPV is negative, reject the project. So the advantages of this net present value technique is it takes into account the time value of money over the project life, and it considers the cash flow stream in its project life. So again, with the help of our example, this cash flow diagram for the given project is here, and assuming that expected rate of return is 10% or discounted rate is suppose 10%, then in our formula, if you put the values in our formula, we just break down it into 0th year, 1st year, 2nd and 4th year. The present value at the starting is minus 10,000, then at the first year minus 4,545, at second year it's 5,785, at third is 5,259, and at fourth is 1,020. Okay, you have to just put, while substituting the values, you have to remember that the CFOs, the value or capital invested should be negative, okay, because it is the money invested, so it should be negative, and the cash flows should be positive or negative, depends on the project. So in our case, the cash flow in first year is also negative. That's why the present value at first year is calculated to be minus 45, because it is cash flow at the first year is negative, and from second year it's positive, which is reflected here. Okay? So net present value is nothing but the summation of all these present values, and which comes to be positive 6,744.52. Yes, project NPV is positive, hence project is accepted. Okay, so likewise you can calculate the NPV, and if NPV is positive, then project is accepted. Next technique is internal rate of return. So this method calculates the rate of return that the investment is expected to yield, and choose the investment with higher rate of return, of course, and the internal rate of return IRR of a project is the discount rate which makes its net present value equal to 0. So in this while calculating the internal rate of return, you are going to consider NPV equal to 0. That's why you can see that on the right hand side, this is the formula for calculating the NPV, and on the left hand side, this NPV is taken at 0. Okay, so the same formula, but only you have to take NPV as 0. Okay, and cash flows values, as I told you, CFT value will be negative if it is expenditure, and positive if it is savings, as we discussed in case of NPV. Okay, again, for if you substitute the values for substitute the various values like CFO 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and if you calculate the value of K, that is the discount rate, and that IRR comes to be 26%. So if you put put the various values of K like 5%, 10%, and you have to find the value of k where this right hand side is equal to left hand side, that is 0. So, and in the given project, this project, that IRR comes to be 26%, which is high, and that is good. If you have to check whether your cost of money is less than or should be less than this, then IRR should be attractive. Okay, so in summary, today we discussed the time value of money. Why does money have time value? Then how to calculate the time value of money, and the quantification of the profitability of your project. For that, we use net present value concept, payback period concept, return on investment, and internal rate of return concept. So with this, I conclude today's session. Thank you for your attention.